Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Stella. I want to specially thank everyone that has subscribed to this channel, and for those just seeing my video for the first time, kindly subscribe. All right, so for today's video, we're going to be making a 360 degrees peplum blouse with kissing pleats. Okay, it's going to be super detailed. Now I've gone ahead to draft a half scale basic bodice block, okay, and I altered it to armhole princess dart. All right, now let's proceed to label this pattern. So here is the back block and this is the front block. Okay, so I'll leave the link in the description box if you don't know how to draft this half scale block. All right, and trust me, it's super detailed and easy. Now let's proceed to the neckline. All right, now I went ahead to draft the neckline, and we have neck width of 3 inches and neck depth of 3 inches for the front. Now for the back is 3 inches neck width and 1 inch neck depth. Now let's proceed to alter the neckline to our desired style. Okay, so we're going to be making the neck width of the front to be 4 inches. All right, and the neck depth for the front as well is 4 inches. Okay, so we have 4 inches neck width and 4 inches neck depth for the front. All right, now I'll come in with my French curve and we're going to connect the neckline. All right, and here we have it. I have connected the neckline for the front. Now let's move over to the back. So we're altering the neck width for the back as well. All right, so the neck width for the back is 4 inches and the neck depth is 1.5 inches. Okay, 4 inches neck width and 1.5 inches neck depth for the back. Now I'll proceed to connect it as well. Okay, and here we have it. We are done with the neckline. All right, now I'll go ahead and separate these two patterns so that we can further alter the front. Okay, remember we're yet to close the bust dart. All right, so I'll go ahead and separate the patterns and we'll continue. All right, and here we have it. I have separated the patterns. Now I'll go ahead and cut the front. All right. Yeah. Now I'll proceed to cut the front and I'll stop exactly on the bust point line so that we can close the bust dart. Remember, to close your bust dart is still the same process. Raise your pattern paper along your marked dart line, okay, and you rest it on the bust line. All right, now I'll go ahead and tape this down permanently. Okay, now we need to blend the side front. All right, and I made use of 0.25 on each side to tighten the waistline. So I'll go ahead and add that back. All right, then I'll blend the side front. And here we have it. We have blended the side front. Now we'll go ahead and through the dart. Okay, and to through your dart is still the same process. You raise your pattern paper along your marked dart line, okay, just like I'm doing, and you rest it on the second dart leg. All right, it's that simple. Okay, raise your pattern paper along the marked dart line and rest it on the second dart leg. Now if you pay attention to the curve, you will see that it's no longer meeting up. Okay, so we need to connect the original arm side or the armhole curve, okay, back to the chest line. So I'll go ahead and use my French curve to reconnect it back to the chest line. All right, and here we have it. So we're no longer going to make use of the outer curve. All right, so I'll just go ahead and mark that. I'll strike it out. All right, now I'll proceed to cut out. Yeah. Now let's go ahead and blend the bust point area. Okay, you guys know that I like to blend my bust point area properly because you don't want any form of pointiness around that part. Okay, so I'll just blend it. All right, and I'm okay. Okay, now if you're worried about this tiny space that we have there, by the time we add our sewing allowance, is going to take care of that. Okay, so it's nothing to bother. Now I'll go ahead and complete my cutting. All right, and here we have it. We are done with the front. Now I'll proceed to label this before we move over to the back. So this is the side front and here is the center front. Okay, now I'll come in with the back pattern so that we can alter it and cut out. All right, so this is the back. Now we'll go ahead and label first. Okay, here's the center back line and this is the side back line. All right, now I'll proceed to cut this out.
Yeah.
Moving on, we need to true the armhole that's on the back. Okay, so I'll go ahead and raise my pattern paper. All right, now can you see that the armhole curve is running through? Okay, now one thing that will happen if you don't do this is that the moment you transfer your pattern to the fabric and you try to join, you find out that one part will be longer than the other. Okay, so I'll proceed to cut out. And here we have it. Now we will need to blend the side back. Okay, so I don't like the way that part is looking, and if you don't blend it and you proceed to join, let me tell you one thing that will happen. That part is going to bulge. Okay, and that's not what we want. So I'll go ahead and blend it. Just connect it using a straight line. Okay, and I'll proceed to cut it off. All right, it's that simple. I have blended the side back. Okay, so our back is ready. Now I'll come in with the front. Okay, and we'll transfer all our patterns to the fabric. Now we need to do a little bit of calculation for our pleat. Remember, we're going to be making a 360 degrees peplum, okay, with kissing pleats. Okay, so I come in with this piece of paper and we'll need to write. All right, so we're working with a total blouse length of 25 inches. Okay, so the total blouse length is 25 inches. Now the half length is 16.5 inches. Okay, that is from the shoulder to the waist is 16.5 inches. So if you subtract 16.5 inches from 25 inches, we'll be left with 8.5 inches. So this is the length of the peplum or the flare. Okay, so the peplum length or the flare length is 8.5 inches. All right, now you need to decide how many kissing pleats you want. Okay, so for every kissing pleat style, you need to decide two things. One is the number of kissing pleats you want, and two, the width. Okay, how wide you want it. Now for this particular style, we're going to be having 6 kissing pleats. Okay, so it's going to appear in 6 places on the flare part. Okay, now I want the width to be 5 inches. Okay, so we're having 6 number of kissing pleats with 5 inches wide. All right, so I'll go ahead and write that down. The number of kissing pleats we're going to be working with is 6. Okay, and the width is 5 inches. So to know the number of allowance we're going to be adding, we're going to simply multiply the width by the number. So we'll do 5 times 6, okay, or 6 times 5, and that will give you 30 inches. So what this means is that we're going to be adding 30 inches to her waist round. All right, so this is the allowance of the kissing pleat. Okay, now the waist round that we're working with is 33.5 inches. All right, so I'll go ahead and write that. The waist round we're working with is 33.5 inches. Now we're going to be adding our 30 inches allowance for the kissing pleat to the waist round. So 33.5 inches plus 30 inches allowance. Okay, that will give us 63.5 inches. Okay, so I'll go ahead and write that down. 33.5 inches plus 30 will give us 63.5 inches. Okay, now to get the radius, we're going to simply do 63.5 inches divided by 6.28. Now 6.28 is a constant for a 360 degrees flare. All right, so this will give us 10.1 inches. I'll just round that up to 10.25. So this is our radius. All right, so we have all our markings out. Okay, we have all our figures out. Now this is the radius. We have our radius of 10.25 inches. We have the peplum length of 8.5 inches. Okay, remember we're going to be having 6 kissing pleats. Now this is the pattern. I'm going to go ahead and transfer all our patterns to the fabric, and I'll cut out the peplum. All right, and we'll continue. And here we have it. So this is the fabric that we're working with. Okay, so this is the fabric for the peplum. All right, now I'll proceed to transfer the pattern, all our patterns, to the fabric. Okay, and I will add my side seam allowance. I'll be adding 2 inches as my side seam allowance. All right, now here is the fabric. for the peplum, I have folded it into 4. All right, you remember our allowance, and we have a radius of 10.25. So I placed my tape from the tip and I marked 10.25. Now the length of the peplum is 8.5 inches. Okay, I went ahead to add 1 inch allowance to that. Now ½ inch is for joining to the half length, and the other ½ inch is for turning with the lining. Okay, so I have the length of the peplum as 9.5 inches. So I proceed to cut this out and we'll continue. Okay, and here we have it. Now you'll need to notch the midpoint. Okay, this will come in handy when it's time. So I just did that. Now let's look at the half length. So here it is. All right, now I've gone ahead to transfer it to the fabric. Okay, now let's look at it one after the other. So this is the center front and side front. So I added ½ inch all round and I have 2 inches sewing allowance. Now let's look at the back. So here's the center back and the side back. I also have ½ inch all round for joining. Now I have my 1 inch zip allowance at the center back. Okay, and I have my 2 inches side seam allowance. Now I already added the ½ inch to the pattern. Okay, so that's why you're not seeing any other addition at the lower part. Okay, I did the same thing on the front as well. All right, now I'll proceed to iron down my interfacing, and I'll be using hair stay. Okay, I'll iron down my interfacing on both the fashion fabric and the lining. All right, and I'll go ahead and join all the pieces, and here we have it. I have all our pieces joined. Okay, so I've ironed the interfacing and I've joined it. Now let's look at it. So this is the back, the fashion fabric and the lining. Now as you can see, I have all the stitches pressed open. Okay, you can see them laying flat. Now this is the front, the fashion fabric and the lining. I have also attached my bra cup. Okay, I'll leave the link in the description box. Now I went ahead to mark my shaping, okay, on both the fashion fabric and the lining. Now I'll proceed to join them. I'll join fashion fabric to fashion fabric and lining to lining. Okay, I'll join them on the sides and I will press them open. Now you need to iron every step of the way, okay, so that your outfit will come out beautiful. All right, so I'll go ahead and join this and we'll move over to the peplum. Okay, and here we have it. I have joined them. Okay, so this is the fashion fabric. Now if you pay attention, you will see that I pressed open my side seam allowances. Okay, and I ironed it away in a triangular shape. This is important as well. All right, now this is the lining part. I have joined them and I pressed it as well. Now let's look at the flare. Okay, so all right, now let's look at the areas where the kissing pleats will be appearing. So we'll have one here, okay, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So these are the areas where the kissing pleats will be appearing on the peplum. All right, now let's do a little bit of measurements again. So we need to measure the distance between the 2 dart legs on the front, and we have 6 inches there. Now from one of the dart legs to the side front, we have 5.25 inches as the distance, okay, as the space in between. Now we need to measure from the side front to the dart leg on the back. Okay, so I'll place my tape on the side front to the dart leg, and what we have there is 4.75 inches. Okay, remember 6 inches, 5.25 and 4.75. These are the spaces in between each dart leg. Now I'll come in with the flare, okay, so that we will look at it. Now this is the flare. The first thing we need to do is to go ahead and turn it to the right side. Okay, so I first joined them on the lower part using ½ inch. So this is the only thing I did to the peplum. All right, now you need to notch the mid part, okay, the center of the peplum, and this is it. All right, now I'll come in with our half length and we will apply those measurements. Remember, the distance between the 2 dart legs on the center front is 6 inches. So that simply means that the midpoint of it is 3 inches. Okay, so from the center of the flare, I'll go ahead and mark 3 inches. All right, now the width of our kissing pleat is 5 inches. If you remember our calculation, so 5 inches divided by 2 will give us 2.5 inches. Now I'll go ahead and mark them. So we're going to go ahead and raise the 3 inches that we marked, okay, to meet the 2.5 inches this way. Okay, and I'll pin it down. Now at this stage you need a lot of pins. Okay, so I'll pin it down, and I'll also pin it down at the lower part. Now this method of pinning is going to help you when it's time to iron, okay, because your pleats will start to form on its own. Now I'm going to go ahead and raise the second 2.5 inches mark that we already have there. Okay, I'll raise it, and I'll place it to meet the other point, okay, like this, and I will pin it down. All right, I'll also go ahead and pin down the lower part as well. Okay, so this is it. We have formed the first kissing pleat. Now I'll come in with the half length again, and let's measure. So from the first dart leg to the side front, remember we have 5.25 inches there. So I'll go ahead and place my tape from the first kissing pleat, and I'll measure 5.25 inches. Okay, I'll make a mark there. Next, we're going to measure our kissing pleat allowance, okay, which is 5 inches. Now I'll divide it into 2 as well. So I'll raise the 5.25 inches mark to meet 2.5 inches kissing pleat allowance, and I'll pin it down both at the top part and at the lower part. Okay, so I'll pin down the lower part, all right, and I'll raise the second 2.5 inches kissing pleat allowance, all right, to meet the other part as well. Okay, and I'll pin it down. So at this stage you need to measure correctly before you begin this. Okay, so I'll pin down both at the top part and at the lower part, and here we have it. Now I'll come in with the half length for the third kissing pleat. Okay, now from the side front to that leg on the back, we have 4.75 inches here. So I'll go ahead and place my tape on the second kissing pleat, and I'll measure 4.75 inches and make a mark there. Now I'll also measure my kissing pleat allowance of 5 inches, and I'll divide it into 2. So 2.5 and 2.5. Okay, now we're going to raise our 4.75 inches mark that we just made to meet the first 2.5 inches, and you pin it down. All right, I'll also pin down the lower part as well. Okay, all right, and here we have it. Now the second 2.5 inches, I will also rest it, okay, on the other point, and I will pin it down as well. All right, I'll go ahead and pin down the lower part, and this is it for this side. That's simple. Okay, now I'll go ahead and repeat this same thing on the other side. All right, now whatever you do here, you need to do the same thing on the lining. Okay, but before then, let's go ahead and measure the space that we have from the zip allowance to the dart leg. Okay, now I have 4.5 inches there. Okay, so I'll go ahead and measure the 4.5 inches there as well. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut off this excess. All right, now I'll repeat the same thing on this other side. Now for the lining part, whatever you do on your fashion fabric, go ahead and do the same thing on the wrong side of the lining. Remember, what we're doing now on the fashion fabric is what I'm going to do on the wrong side of the lining. If you do it on the right side, the moment you're done with this peplum, your flare is going to scatter. Okay, so whatever you're doing on the right side of fashion fabric, you do it on the wrong side of the lining. And here we have it. I'm done with the kissing pleats. All right, I went ahead to give it a good press. Okay, so you can see I did it. I pleated on the wrong side of the lining. Okay, so, and I gave it a good press. Now I tacked each of the kissing pleats. Okay, I tacked them on each of the points. Okay, the reason is so that they will not scatter. Okay, because you don't need pins at this point anymore. So I'll go ahead and come in with the half length, and we will join. All right, so I'll separate them into 2 as well, and we're going to be joining fashion fabric to fashion fabric and lining to lining. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and join them. I'll join the fashion fabric first on the waistline using 1/2 inch sewing allowance that we left. All right, so I'll go ahead and join it, and we will continue. Okay, and here we have it. I have joined it. All right, so I've joined the fashion fabric, the half length to the peplum part. All right, so here's the inside. You can see the lining part is still separate. We have not joined it. Okay, now So we need to turn the neckline. All right. So I'll come in with the lining and I will place it right sides facing each other and we're going to turn the neckline. Now in turning the neckline, you need to move away by 1 inch from the zip allowance because we're yet to fix the zip. Okay, so I'll go away by 1 inch from the zip allowance and I'll use ½ inch to turn the neckline. Now afterwards, I will join the lower part of the lining, okay, and I'll fix my zip. So I'll do all this and I will give it a good press. Okay, now let's move over to the drafting of the sleeve. All right, now this is a basic sleeve and the length of the sleeve is 7 inches. Okay, so I quickly drafted her basic sleeve and the length is 7 inches. Now the first thing you need to do is to mark the midpoint of the basic sleeve. All right, so I'll go ahead and mark the midpoint using a straight line. Okay, and we need to determine our slash lines. Okay, now from the center line, I will move away by 2 inches, okay, on each side. So I'll go ahead and mark 2 inches on each of the sides. All right, and I'll also mark it on the lower part. Now the reason is so that we can get a straight line. Okay, I'll go ahead and use a straight line, my ruler, to connect the 2 inches. All right, afterwards we will go ahead and cut. Okay, so we'll go ahead and cut this out. Now we will cut, but we're not cutting through. Okay, there's a difference. So we're not cutting it entirely. Okay, so this is it. I have slashed it. The process is called slashing. All right, now I'll come in with another pattern paper and we will spread. All right, and here we have it. I have it pinned down. Now I went ahead to spread it using 1.25 inches because I don't want it too puffy. Okay, so I have spread it, the pattern, using 1.25 inches. Now we will need to blend the top part. So I'm simply connecting the top part, okay, so that the curve can be even. And we will need to blend the lower part as well. But to do this, I will try to use my curve, okay, just to connect. All right, so I'll go ahead and use my curve to blend the lower part. Okay, but if you can use your freehand, is entirely okay. But since I have the curve, why can't I use it? Okay, so this is it. I have blended the lower part. All right, now note that the moment you gather the top part, your basic sleeve is going to come back. Okay, so the lower part is not going to look this way when you're done with the sleeve. All right, so this is it. I'll go ahead and cut this pattern out and we will continue. Yeah. All right, and here we have it. I have cut out the sleeve pattern out. Now we will need to indicate the part where the gathering is going to start from. Okay, so this is it. So on the fabric, I'm going to notch these points. Okay, now I'll go ahead and transfer this to the fabric. All right, and this is it. I have transferred it. Now I added ½ inch sewing allowance at the top part, okay, and I added my hemming allowance at the lower part as well. Now I have both the fashion fabric and the lining here, okay, pinned together. First thing, okay, is that I'll go ahead and notch that part that our gathering is going to start from. All right, and I'll run 2 gather stitches at that top part. Okay, because we will need to draw our gathers there. Okay, and here we have it. I have it ironed. Okay, so I went ahead to iron down my hairstay on the fashion fabric alone. All right, and I stitched the hem using ½ inch. Now we will need to turn the sleeve. Okay, so because I want to do an inseam finishing, I'm going to go ahead and fold the sleeve into 2 and I will use 1 inch to stitch the sides. Okay, now afterwards, I'm going to turn it this way and I will run the 2 gather stitches at the top part. All right, now let's look at the blouse. All right, so this is it. I have fixed the sleeve. I have joined the lining. All right, and I have given it a good press, but not 100% pressing yet. Okay, so you can see the kissing pleat and how it came out effortless because of the method of pinning. Okay, so you can see the beauty of the blouse without the sleeve for now. All right, now let's look at the sleeve. So this is it. I have it turned. I have drawn the gather stitches, okay, and I have it stitched down. So you can see how neat the sleeve is looking. Now I'll proceed to join the sleeve to the armhole. Okay. So you need to ensure that the mid part of the sleeve will match the shoulder joining. All right. And here we have it. I have joined the sleeve to the blouse. All right. And this is it. We are actually done. Yes, we're actually done. All right. And I love this blouse. Um, I love the sleeve. Okay. So it's simple, classy, and everything beautiful. All right. Now let's look at the inside. So you can see how clean the inside is looking. I will still go ahead and press the lining part, okay? And I will overlock the rough edges on the armhole. All right. So this is a tiny opening that we talked about, okay, around the zip. Now, the moment you're doing an inseam finishing, you need to leave a tiny hole there. Then you will go ahead and use your needle and thread to tack that place. Now, I always tell my clients where it is so that if they move city and they need to work on the blouse or the outfit, they will easily know where to access the inside from. Okay, I think it's the right thing to do. All right, so this is it. We have come to the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. Kindly subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell. Drop your comments, your remarks in the comment section, and you're sure I will attend to them. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Until we meet again in my next video. My name is Stella, and I appreciate everyone that is taking time out to watch my video. God bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you. All right, so till we meet again in my next video. Bye.
Bye.